Well, shall we get into Housewives Hot Pop?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so our first Housewives Hot Pop, Erika Jayne dismissed the embezzlement and fraud charges against her amid her divorce from Tom Girardi have been officially dismissed, and that came out yesterday.
Well, not so fast, Erika Jayne, because apparently, what is his name? Jay Jeffries, or the attorney who's in charge of dismissing that,
Yes,
has made a statement that he's actually just dismissed it so that he can refile it in a more appropriate jurisdiction to avoid all of the legal wrangling around jurisdictions. So she's not off the hook yet. She's still embroiled in Tom Girardi's nonsense, for sure.
it's just crazy. I mean, she filed for divorce from him back in November of 2020.
Yeah.
And she even said years prior when people talked about divorce and blah, 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 and she's like, if this ever happened, he would, he's the most powerful attorney in the country, as she says. And she always had a feeling that this would happen.
Well, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for. I'm sure you had a feeling, Erika Jayne, that something like this could happen because you were with him for 20 years and you apparently and allegedly partook of some of these wonderful gifts and monies that should have gone to clients. I mean, the earrings that she just had to return was this last week. She just had to return a $750,000 pair of earrings that he purchased for her from a client's trust or a client's account, straight up.
She says through her lawyer that she had no idea about any of this, that, he always lavished her. He always gave her gifts. He gave her a lifestyle. She was never involved in finances. And here's the thing. I tend to err on the, I'm on the fence because I kind of believe her, and I'll tell you why. Because she was a stripper, exotic dancer, whatever, and he was a rich older man. Do you think she really questioned where the money came from? I don't think so. And I kind of think, as we saw his behavior when he would stop her from talking and correct her and things, I think he really wore the pants in that relationship, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I think he kept her very far away from the finances and all of that. I'm inclined to believe that she didn't know. Now, do I think that she got an inkling and maybe her own intuition came up and said something doesn't seem right? I think quite possibly yes, and that's probably why she decided to file. And then he's like, oh, okay, you want to leave me? I'm going to pin all this crap on you. This is how I feel.
Well, you're more magnanimous and generous in spirit than I am. She strikes me as a very intelligent woman, just a very intelligent woman. I would agree that when we saw her together with Tom Girardi in different scenes, like out at dinner with Lisa Vanderpump, and he says, he puts her in her place, he tells her to stop talking, and she immediately submits. I don't see her submit to anybody else but that man. So I can buy into that a little bit, but I don't think so. I think that their funds were so commingled, especially with her LLC and all of his business dealings. There's just too much money moving in and out of all of these things. And he really has, it's unfortunate, but he really has left her holding the bag here.
Absolutely. And it's a shame. I feel bad. I feel bad for her.
Well, I don't know. There's some responsibility and accountability you do have to take, because at the end of the day, you did benefit from his shady deal. You just did. You benefited from his shady dealings. And so you need to very quickly return all the money that you can, that you know is not yours, and participate and cooperate in every single way. Is she doing that? Well, I don't know, because the lawyer or the trustee or whoever's overseeing all of this stuff, is constantly dragging her on social media. It's horrible. Not doing that.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I think she's doing what she should be doing based on what her lawyer's saying. And her lawyer did issue a statement that with this, potential refiling in California, more time for people to really dig in and see that she really didn't have any accountability, culpability, or knowledge of any of this. And he's, waiting for that day so everyone can see it. So we'll see where that goes.
We will see.
So if we want to tie it into some spiritual side of things, what are you getting from this?
Are you telling me what my intuition is? What are you asking me specifically?
Yeah. So we want to break down, the spiritual side of what's going on. So,
right. Oh God, greed is going on, and it's harder for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle, right? a camel to get through an eye of the needle than a rich man to go to heaven. I forget what Jesus said exactly, but I do know that money and greed is so very awful. And I think that that's what was going on with Tom Girardi. My intuition, just the way that the caustic nature, like an Erika Jayne's defensiveness, my intuition feels like she knew more and is more culpable, and at the very least should have asked more questions. And I think Sutton Strack actually addressed this in last season when she said, well, you need to know, this is your business and you are signing on the bottom line. So if you got to know everything that's happening and then it's above board and that you have integrity. She didn't. And so I think that she's going to be like going to jail or something like that? I do not. I do think that she's going to have to make restitution on behalf of her husband to the degree that she can, compared to somebody like Jen Shaw, who I think, oh my gosh, my feeling is that girl's going to go to jail for a little while.
Yeah,
but not necessarily Erika Jayne.
Yeah, I kind of don't feel that she's going to go to jail either. However, I do
she's
feel...
she's going to Popo. She's going to jail.
No, I'm sorry, Erika Jayne. Erika Jayne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Erika Jayne. I think... I will say that my feeling is, my intuition tells me that I think the prosecuting team are going to try hard for something very harsh on her. They don't like her. It's evident in the things that they're posting on social media, and they're creating all this really negative energy around her. And she's already now retracting a whole lot back into that ice queen sort of persona. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like with Martha Stewart, they wanted to make an example. There were other people that did essentially the same thing and got nothing. Certainly no jail time. And I understand she went to Camp Cupcake, whatever, but she still went to jail. It was still a felony. And I feel like they're going to try to really hang this on Erika. But I'm hoping, I feel like it won't happen too. Like I kind of get that feeling that it won't. Now, whether it's a settlement outside of court, a no contest, but I will help do what's right on behalf of the victims so we can spin it a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what goes on with that. Jen Shaw, I don't know. I think she might be going down.
Oh, she's going down. She's doing some time. I don't know how much time. Ugh. And it's so weird because I'm watching SLC, I'm watching the season. I watch every episode the day after it comes out. And I really, out of all of the cast of characters, I'm liking Jen Shaw and I'm liking what she's bringing to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to change the end result for her.
No, I feel that she did do. To what degree, I don't know, but I feel like there was.
But I mean, if Jen Shaw did it, would she really let her mom liquidate all of her assets to the tune of $1 to $2 million?
Absolutely.
I just would never, if I was guilty, I would never let my beloved parent, basically bankrupt themselves in order to defend me. That's just the lowest of the low.
And a true testament to greed. Just my opinion. Just my feeling.
Eye of the needle.
The eye of the needle. I don't want my eye. Something's making my eye itch. Is it the needle? I don't know.
It's the greed.
It's the greed. The greed of it all.
Yeah.
So we're moving on a little bit with our Housewives Hot Pop. And speaking of Erika Jayne, recently Garcelle Beauvais and Sutton Strack, imagine that, had issues with Erika while filming, and they're in, I think, their last few weeks of filming. They had a massive blowout during filming, and Garcelle and Sutton stopped following Erika. Now, coincidentally, the day that it came out that the charges were dismissed against Erika, Sutton follows her back and issues a statement that she wants to be the bigger person.
Right. Well, I looked into this, and it seems like they were on a cast trip to Aspen at the time, and there was a big argument at dinner, which of course Lisa Rinna is said to have instigated, and it has something to do with Erika Jayne's drinking, of all things. And I guess someone heard the word intervention, and maybe they were, I don't know, I'm just hypothetically, maybe they were all just gathered around trying to talk to Erika Jayne about her drinking issues, and maybe she's drinking too much because of everything that's happening. And there was a big blowout, and Dorit, Erika Jayne, and one other cast member that we have not yet met, and I can't recall her name, left the table and left Aspen. together. So that sounds very juicy.
Yeah, it is very juicy. And from what I understand, last season was Sutton coming for Erika all season. Now they're saying this season it's Garcelle who's coming after Erika all season.
Good. Take her down, maul her, get her. Sorry. That's so unspiritual. I'm just picturing the cheetah and the gazelle. I mean, get her. She needs to be gotten. Because those women act like they're so afraid of her, and they're so afraid to even ask a question. And come on now, let's ask her some questions. Let's bring some light into this, and let's see what's really going on. She should not be able to just pretend this isn't happening. Yeah. So, I guess also the reason Erika and Garcelle fell out was because of something with Garcelle's son. Erika brought up Garcelle's son.
I did hear that came up, and that's one thing you don't do to Garcelle. Well, I think children should be off the table. I do. Now, if they are grown, and are in and out of the show and say some things, okay, you're an adult, you say some things, yes, you should be held accountable for that. But I certainly think the younger children should never, ever be brought into any of this. It should always be just, if it's a Housewives show, the Housewives and the friends of the show. And I mean, I guess to some degree if the husbands get involved, which they tend to do.
I mean, I guess so, but I think Garcelle's son she's a grandmother by him. He's married with kids. But the thing that's so rich is that it's Erika Jayne allegedly bringing up Garcelle's son when Erika was the one when I think they were in Tokyo or they were in Japan. And
yes, and Eileen.
Eileen brought up, and so innocently brought up Erika's son, and she had her dramatic moment. You don't know what I go through, or whatever she said. Don't bring up her son. Don't talk about my son. Nobody can talk about her son. But all of a sudden, she can talk about Garcelle's son. No, I'm sorry. That would unleash the mama bear in me, too. Yeah. Get her. Cheetah.
In considering that Garcelle has had a horrid relationship with him. He was involved in drugs. She's been very open about that. And he's gotten his life together. And when they showed them visiting for, I believe it was Christmas on the last season, to see them all together and to see there's still a slight, I don't want to say distance between them.
A little bit of tension.
There's a
little bit of something.
Yeah,
something
there's almost like a pause. I will go to this line. I'm not going to cross over it. We know, obviously, they love each other, but there's a lot of hurt that has not been resolved yet, and they're taking baby steps. So to see that, and it did not feel put on for the cameras. It felt very authentic. It was a beautiful moment, and I just think when they're already at a sort of a precarious moment where the relationship could either dramatically improve or fall off because of things that people say, it's sad. And again, that's why I feel we shouldn't bring children into it.
Agreed. And children relationships should be off limits, but they're not always off limits. And it seems like Erika's bringing it up now. So that's why Garcelle is going for her.
Well, I feel, my feelings about this, when you want to sort of do things like that, I feel like it's a deflection.
Yeah.
To obviously, take the light off of you. So clearly Garcelle has been trying to shine a light on Erika all season, but we won't know this until we actually see the season, but this is what the reports are coming out. So I think in that moment, because Erika's not one, she can't take the heat. And I will say that about her. You can lightly and gingerly question certain areas of her life, but very lightly. You can't go deep with her. You can't. And when you do, then she will go for your jugular. It's not even like she will just say something snarky back. She will literally stick a knife in your jugular and twist it around and try to decimate you.
Yeah, but I think if you continue with her after that point, she crumbles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just that nobody has ever done that. And I think she puts up this big bombastic wall and everybody gets so scared because it's Erika lashing out. But if you kept pushing her from that point on, I don't think there's much there. I think it's just a bunch of bombast.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of her.
And I'm not afraid of her
and by
either.
the way, I'm sick and tired of Housewives or anybody on reality TV shows feeling like they don't have to divulge or share certain aspects of their lives, or this thing is off topic. We can't talk about it. Don't mention it. Well, then why are you on
Absolutely.
a reality television show? Of course.
I mean, I think that's why Marlo was so hesitant in getting her, wanting to be a full-time cast member because of how invasive it was in her life. And there were all kinds of alleged rumors going around about how she was getting her money, the sugar daddies and all of that. But now she is going to be a cast member. So she has probably found a very creative way to hide things so that, but then I would be curious to see how much we get in. I mean, now she has her nephews and they're living with her at her townhouse. Obviously, we'll get to see more of that. I don't think we'll get to see much else.
We'll see.
But we'll see. So, yeah.
Well, see, now it's not like it was 10 years ago even when you could go after somebody and shame them for all kinds of things. Nowadays, you have to be a little bit careful about what you bring up and how you try to characterize someone, like body shaming or sex work or any of these things. Like, it's not politically correct to do that. So maybe she's got some cover. Maybe she's got some cover.
It's interesting. So we'll see what's going on with that. So there is some more divorce drama this time. Real Housewives of OC.
Oh, let me guess.
Nutella Bergener. I don't know why I start calling her Nutella instead of Noella. But so apparently she's now stating that her ex, Sweet James Bergener, is trying to torture her by stalling this divorce, which I thought was already finalized in Puerto Rico.
Well, he's claiming that it was finalized in Puerto Rico. And of course, she's saying, well, that's a fraudulent divorce decree because jurisdiction is in California and he misrepresented details and facts of their marriage in order to get that fraudulent divorce. And so she's contesting this. What she's saying is that they reached some kind of a settlement via mediation in September of 2021. And after that mediation, where I think he agrees to pay her like $2 million and there's some support set up for little James. After that mediation, he just goes dark, goes silent, and never finalizes these terms, never finalizes and turns over the money. My thing is that Noella is just a bunch of, talk about bombast, all she is just hyperbolic. The reality is that this just happened in August of last year. It's January, and it's really not that long to be waiting for a finalized divorce. In fact, some divorces take much longer than 6 months to, iron out the terms and to finalize things. So I just think that she wants her money. She wants her $2 million. She wants to move on with her life, and I can appreciate that. But I don't know that he's trying to torture her.
Well, I think that is probably, she's been very good this season about playing the victim. I don't think it's working very well because from what I understand, viewers are completely turned off by her. Well, first of all, let's just talk about this season real quick anyway, because it is horrible. Hashtag horrible. It's not good. I find very little to be interested in. I mean, they touted Fancy Pants coming back, and that is just a big old flop. Yet, she seems to be in control of a lot. Because our next topic about, the other lady allegedly not coming back, but we'll get into that, but is because of one rumor said that it was production, but I'm hearing that it's Noella and Heather. And why are you letting these people have this kind of power over you if you want to be?
This is just what we talked about, like having these protected cast members who don't have to divulge information. Heather and Terry, like when that lawsuit started to be talked about, like went into full overcompensation overdrive and didn't want to talk about it, shut down that whole evening, right? Yeah. That's the kind of power Heather apparently has. I don't know why, but yes, she does. And Noella obviously doesn't have that kind of power. And it's interesting. Let's talk about why people don't like Noella, because she's going through something terrible and she's confronting Heather, which I love. I mean, give me that all day. But there's just something about her that is...
Oh, I can tell you what it is. In my opinion, I find her to be 500% disingenuous. I don't believe the things that she's saying, even when she's breaking down and crying. Now, that could be a legitimate breakdown and cry because, things are going crazy. But I feel like she and her husband had a plan for this season. And I think he just decided, I don't want any part of this. And got out because I think she became a monster
well, I think they started digging. They started
absolutely.
digging into his business practices.
Yes, and which happens when you become, a cast member on these shows. And it's just nothing's going the way that she wants it to go. So yes, she's crying and she's upset and whatever, but I don't find any of it to be legitimate. I want to feel bad for her because no one should have to go through this. But, his lawyers are releasing statements that are contradicting what she's saying. She is saying things that contradicts what she has said before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I feel that, it's like a yes, no, and somewhere in between situation, because I believe a little bit of what he's saying. I almost believe some of what she's saying because I believe there are little truths in there, but the truths are so minuscule, and the lies or the wacky things that are being said that make no sense are sort of this middle murky area that just makes me check out on her altogether.
Yeah, you're right. There's something that is keeping us from actually connecting to her in an authentic way because it's just a facade that she's presenting.
Yeah. And here's the thing. She's stunning. I mean, it's not, and the world is not about looks, but she is just a stunning, gorgeous lady. And she seems like she could be a very nice person. At least that's what I got in the very beginning. And then, but she also seems very up and down.
Calculated, orchestrated.
Yes. And she's like a very junior. No, she's a freshman fancy pants wannabe. And it's not working. And Heather's had a very long time to cultivate this. I mean, she was previously an actor. She obviously knows how to act to a degree. Although on this, here's the thing. I saw her on some other programs where she acted and she was good. But why is her acting on here not good?
I don't know.
Makes no sense. So I just think, and that's where I think the conflict with Noelle and Heather, while Noelle has said a lot of things about Heather, I think Noelle wants to be like Heather. And it's not happening. It's not working. And I'm sorry, it will take a very strong person to come in and take Heather down.
Kelly Dodd.
And then we'll bring her back. I don't think that
Tamra Judge, but I mean they're aligned. So, but I mean if there was some sort of a problem, Tamra could do it. Vicky's just chaotic and would not be able to keep it together. No, never.
No, I think I think Kelly Dodd could.
Kelly Dodd, but
Kelly Dodd called Heather the C word.
Yeah,
and that was. I don't particularly like that word.
Nor do I.
But
she rattled
her. Yeah. And if they were, and I think that's one of the things too, there was a rumor, and I think it was Tamra that said she heard a rumor that if Heather was to come back, Kelly had to go. And I think Kelly did enough damage on her own. She
did.
And that's a shame. And, I don't know. I would like to see someone give Heather a run for her money, and not one person on this cast can do it.
Well, Noelle might be able to do it, but the thing is she's got to counterbalance that with her personality. She's got to be likable at the same time that she's coming for Heather DuBrow. So I think that she's actually, her reads on Heather DuBrow, like when I've seen her on Watch What Happens Live, I actually like what she has to say. I agree with her about Heather DuBrow, but it's just that she's so unlikable generally that you just don't, I'm just not in her camp. I'm exhausted.
She does
I'm exhausted by Noelle. And we've just hit the tip of the iceberg, because in the mid-season trailer we see, and I think maybe this week or next week, we see Noelle have an absolute complete breakdown while they're on this cast trip to Cabo or wherever they are.
Which, by the way, Nicole James did not go to.
Yes, let's talk about Nicole James.
Yes.
Let's remind everybody who Nicole James is.
Well, she originally was supposed to be a full-time cast member. And right before, like a week or two before the show premiered, she was demoted to friend of the show. So we all knew that. We knew it was happening. Right. She comes on, and the big scandal is years ago, 12 years ago, she sued Terry DuBrow for, I believe it was a breast augmentation that she was not happy with. And she claimed that her lawyers told her to sue. And apparently it was dropped. It went away. Nothing ever came of it. Then Shannon knew her from school, from private school, for her children's private school, under another last name.
Right.
And then Heather is currently friends with Nicole James. And then the big secret was that Shannon found out that this Nicole James was actually that lady that she knew prior, from her children's school, and that she did sue the DuBrows. So that was one of the big things that happened in the first couple of episodes.
Right, and Heather did not know that. Heather didn't know that this woman that she's introducing to the cast is actually a woman who sued her husband many years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a little juicy. That's weird. Do we believe that? I mean, I don't even know.
I think I do believe it. I think I do believe she didn't know that was her because she had a different name and she looked a lot different. But here's where I think there's merit to Nicole James no longer being with the show. I believe that coming out and playing out the way that it did, that put Heather and Terry, who want to be above reproach, and
right.
I believe that was the nail in her coffin. And then I also think the friendship that she was trying to get with Noella, and that got nowhere because she checked out of Noella, which I don't blame her. I would too. But I feel like now
Come on, if I was falling apart at a restaurant, okay, what happened was Nicole and Noella are at a restaurant. Noella's just been served with divorce papers. She's shocked and awed by everything that's happening. She's falling apart. She's drinking tequila. She's making a scene in the restaurant. And Nicole is just mortified, and she's just cold. She's non-emotive. She goes and sits by Noelle, and she's like, "It's okay. You look pretty though." It's just so inappropriate.
Horrible.
Are you telling me that if you and I were out for margaritas because I was going through something that traumatic and I started, snotting all over the place, that you wouldn't hug me and let's get out of here. Let's go drink at my house. Wouldn't you be a better friend?
Thank you.
So the criticism of Nicole being robotic and a little strange is
factual.
Absolutely
well-founded. And she kept looking around and worrying about what the other people that were there probably were thinking. And I feel, and then she's patting her.
Yeah,
first of all,
okay.
Yeah,
it's okay, my friend.
First of all, patting someone who's going through that's condescending.
Yeah,
that's I don't like when you hug people and they tap you. Yeah, that's not a real hug. Get away from me. You will never hug me again. But that was horrible. And I feel like even if you didn't know her that well, just being a decent human being, I think you would want to at least reach out and hug them and say, you know what, let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere more private. Let's really talk about this. Let's get you in a better place. That didn't happen.
No. So, I think that after that happened, Noella seemingly pulls away from Nicole because she was not a good friend, and that begins this discord between Nicole and Noella. And so I guess the theory is that is what led to Nicole James leaving the show. She did not want to go on the cast trip to Mexico, which they are presently on. Nicole did not want to go if Noella was going to be there, and so ultimately was worked out of the franchise. That's the theory, but I think personally that it's all about Heather DuBrow, that Heather did not know that this girl sued her husband, that was sprung on them at that dinner party that cost $36,000, that nobody even got to eat any of the food from Nobu. And she was mortified, and she somehow figured out how to get this girl out of the show and out of her life.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's my intuition. That's my spidey senses about it. It's just Heather DuBrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Controlling.
I can't believe that Bravo, Andy, and the day-to-day producers of that show give Heather DuBrow that kind of power. And
I'm
she's
sick
not
of it.
Bringing anything to this season.
She's producing this season. She's producing herself. She's producing all the scenes, and it doesn't make for riveting television. Yeah. It's boring. If you're not going to show me who you really are, if you're not going to show me Heather's inevitable breakdown with Terry because this person sued him and it's now in front of the nation, if you're not going to show me that, then why am I watching your show? That's the good stuff.
Absolutely.
That is the good stuff.
It's not reality then, right?
Right. It's not reality.
And I understand reality is produced a bit, but you're not giving us anything that's compelling. This is probably one of the worst seasons of that franchise.
Yeah, I had high hopes because Heather was coming back. I thought maybe. But Heather really needs Shannon and Vicky and Tamra to be relevant to me. Standing on her own, she cannot carry the show, especially if she's going to try and control it the way she is. Yeah. So, no.
I don't like it. Don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it. Ew. Ew. Well, shall we talk about the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip?
Yes, I
Season
cannot wait.
2. There's no release date yet, but Dorinda Medley will, which, you know, we know her from the Real Housewives of New York. She was let go a season ago.
Right.
But she will be hosting season 2 at the legendary Bluestone Manor. And in a recent interview, she said that this is going to be a real shit show.
Which I am here for.
I'm absolutely here for the shit show.
So let's talk about who's going to be at Bluestone Manor. We've got Brandi Glanville.
Yes.
We've got, who else from Beverly Hills is going to be there?
We have
Teddy Mellencamp. No, not Teddy Mellencamp's going to Big Brother. Sorry.
Brandi Taylor Armstrong, former Beverly Hills.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, wait. Hold on. I go through it in my mind. We have Jill Zarin, who used to be on the Real Housewives of New York.
Right.
We have former OC Vicky and Tamra.
Awesome.
Then we have former Beverly Hills Brandi and Taylor. Then we have
shit show for real.
Yes. Then we have from Atlanta, Phaedra Parks and Eva Marcille.
Okay, so Eva's the Cynthia. She's going to be boring and she's going to have problems. But I can't wait to see Phaedra.
Oh, and she is shady boots all day long.
I just can't wait to see Phaedra. But then there's Dorinda, who's always bringing white women toxic alcoholic tears. So I can't stand Dorinda. I cannot stand her.
But she's a new woman now. She's done work. She's a better person.
I call lies. No way that she's so shifted and changed. We'll see, though. The way she treated Tinsley on Tinsley's last season of New York was so freaking toxic and abusive. And
hashtag horrible.
I just don't really want to see her, but I have to see it anyway. So I'm going to be watching.
I'll be watching. I'll be glued. Now, she did say towards the end of this interview that every single one of those people are very strong personalities.
Yeah.
And she said there are highs, there are lows, there are in between, there are laughs, there are tears. She said, but when the show ended and they all moved on, they actually left still speaking to each other.
Well, that's something.
Yeah. So, we'll see what that is. I'll be curious because, I have read several articles that Dorinda, did I say Jill Zarin? Did I say Jill Zarin?
You did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Jill Zarin and Dorinda go way back, even before the Housewives franchise. So,
well, the last time Dorinda was on, she shaded Jill. Remember, Jill came to her party or something like that, and she wouldn't even acknowledge Jill. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do recall that.
Okay. Anyway.
But they have a long-standing friendship. Maybe it was just a moment.
Let me get your top 2 shit stirrers and problematic personalities on season 2 of Ultimate Girls Trip.
Okay. I'm going to say... Phaedra. Because she's shady. She'll get some things in there. She'll get some digs in there.
She'll be auditioning. She'll be on her best behavior.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I kind of think Jill, because Jill is a zinger. Do you know what I mean? She will. I honestly, I think they're all going to bring a lot of shade. I do. I think someone, I don't know who. Someone is probably going to say something that's going to completely rub Dorinda the wrong way, and she's not going to make it nice anymore.
Of course.
So I feel like I feel like it could be anyone, but I think that Phaedra is going to be a little bit of a shit stirrer, but maybe not because she does want to get back on one of the franchises, Atlanta, obviously. I don't know. I feel like.
Well, here's my 2.
Okay, tell me your 2.
Taylor Armstrong, number 2.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what's happened to Taylor over the years since she's been on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but she's got an ego on her the size of the state she lives in, which I think is Colorado. I don't know where she lives now. She's remarried, obviously, but she is so demanding and so egotistical and so not relatable that I think she's going to come in with a bunch of diva energy and be an absolute shit show. That's my number 2.
Okay.
Only to be topped by Brandi Glanville. Are you kidding me? Brandi Glanville has absolutely no
Yeah.
filter. She is not shy about drinking a lot of drinks and potentially taking some Xannies and combining the two and just being absolutely problematic and awful. And I think that that woman has so much internalized emotional turmoil that she's constantly projecting and regurgitating. And this is going to be like, I think it's going to be dynamite. Those two are my top two for absolutely
I think I will absolutely
problematic.
Come over to your side on Brandi. I think when I was going back over it, I might have forgotten for a moment that she was coming, because now that you say that, I mean, even on her podcast, she scandalizes everybody that they talk about.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. She's going to get in some faces for real. Oh, yeah. And I think Taylor will too. We'll see. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to watch it. Now, speaking of Ultimate Girls Trip, the first Girls Trip, which of course we've already watched because we've got Peacock.
Yes.
We've got Peacock and we watched it. We do. That is actually going to be broadcast on Bravo for the normies out there who don't have Peacock starting in February. So if you didn't get to see Cynthia being a total bummer, you have your opportunity starting, well, just next week, next month.
Yeah.
They're going to start rolling it out. And you should watch it because it's really good. And
absolutely.
Ramona,
it really is. Oh, Ramona. She's just problematic, but that's a whole other thing.
But Kyle is so much fun. Like the whole thing was really well done. I loved
Kyle.
it.
I love Kyle.
Me too. I love her too.
Did you see her recent photo shoot? They did a disco photo shoot. They gave her curly hair and she looked stunning.
Yes, and we should talk about that because here comes Rinna in blackface. Not blackface, full on.
She was
problematic.
She was
blackface. She was
bronzed.
And when Erika Jayne posted the picture of Rinna and her, she said Donna and Jerry, right? Jerry Hall, I would imagine. And I think she's meaning Donna Summer, which means that that's really what she was trying to put. How in 2022 or 2021, whenever it happened, how do you not realize that is not appropriate to do, Lisa Rinna? And of course,
Countess did it several years ago when she showed up as Diana Ross.
And that was problematic, and Bethany called it out at the time.
Absolutely.
But I mean, even that was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Things have changed so much since then. How do you not know that that's an issue? And then Lisa Rinna released edited photos of that same event and her with her look, and she, I guess, lightened her skin.
Yes.
I don't know.
Which allegedly were the original photos. They're claiming that Erika added filters.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
This is what I'm saying. These people are not tethered to reality. How do you not know that? Especially you, Lisa Rinna. Like, in the reunion, you came off pretty much problematic AF, right? And I don't know. It's just it just boggles the mind.
But Kyle looks stunning.
But I love Kyle. But back to Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's my favorite. She looks stunning.
Yeah, agreed.
So, in more Housewives hot pop, Jenny Nguyen was recently fired from Housewives of Salt Lake City for some, I'll say, alleged racially charged and inappropriate posts on Facebook. Now, I did, and I sent them to you. I sent you a whole compilation of them. And here's the thing. You know, she had stated that she's a proud Republican, and I don't think it has anything to do with being a Democrat or Republican. I think it has more to do with just putting things out that are just so offensive to any person. And I felt like what she put out was irresponsible. She was retweeting things and posting her own things that it came across as hate speech. And it was ugly. It was inappropriate. And we're not going to get super political, but I do feel like those posts were inappropriate. Cancel culture is still, you know, very high and you know, it is still happening. And Bravo, I think they waited a little too long from what some people said, but I think they had to investigate. I think they had to look, because Jenny said she deleted that account years ago. Well, no, the account was still active.
No, she didn't. It was like the day before.
Yeah. And so, and you know, a lot of it was pointed, a lot of comments from people were pointed at that she was being racist against Black Lives Matter. And so, shortly thereafter, she then did a live broadcast. I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter, but she had a friend who was African American on, and it was kind of like Ramona finding
2022 again.
Yeah. It was, and and then him stating, "I've known her a long time. She's not racist." Yes, I've had to educate her, and to me, it felt very staged. It felt very
performative.
Forced. It was very performative, and then a day after that, she comes out and says that it was her social media manager that was posting most of that. Although she did post a couple things, but they posted most of it. But I'll take full accountability because it was on my Facebook page.
And then it came out, the social media manager said she was hacked.
Yes, I was just getting to that. I'm so glad. Yes, the social media manager was hacked. So someone else allegedly was posting all of this hate speech.
Just own it.
I liked her for a little bit.
I never liked her.
I liked her in the very beginning because I thought, well, one, I liked the fact that they had a very diverse cast, and I felt that was lovely because we don't see much of that in Housewives. Which I don't understand, Housewives in New York. I know there are many people of other ethnicities living in New York, the most melting place of melting places, melting pots. And, and it was just a bunch of uppity white women. I have always taken issue with that. So I liked Salt Lake City because they had a nice, diverse cast. They all knew each other. I thought they, were friends, and clearly that's all gone to hell. But so I was disappointed because, she is Asian. And I feel like you would just be more sensitive because she certainly called out Mary for talking about her quote unquote beautiful slanted eyes and her yellow undertone skin, which is problematic. And yet you posted these things. I understand it was a few years ago, but you still posted
It was
them.
Last year.
Okay, I thought it was 2 years ago. I thought it was 20.
I mean, it was when the protests were, so maybe it was 20. Maybe it's 20.
But regardless, it's still very recent. And I can't say that I'm sorry that she's been released. I don't think she brought a whole lot to the show over time. And the castmates, almost all of them have now unfollowed her on social media. And I think even Kelly Dodd has even stated that Bravo should have done a better job at vetting her. Which I don't think Kelly Dodd really has much leg to stand on. However, I do think it is a true statement.
It is a true statement, but I mean, it's a little ironic.
Yeah, very ironic. So,
but I mean, Kelly Dodd,
Kelly Dodd said she's not a racist. She said it in that statement. She said Jenny Nguyen is a racist. I, however, am not. Or something loosely like that.
That's interesting. So I haven't really followed what Kelly Dodd has been saying about this, but I do consider Kelly Dodd, as wacky and nutty as she is, to be a truth teller. Her own truth. She talks about her own truth. So she's
authentic in that way. And
everyone
else are earth disturbers.
That's right. So, I mean, it's just interesting to me that would be her truth, given like her own kind of views and politics and such. Now, I didn't look through all of the posts by Jenny Nguyen. I looked through some of them. Some of them struck me as political and Republican, which I want to say, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with and that's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, there are all kinds of people, and
everyone's entitled to believe whatever they want.
And you're not going to, if you shame people into not divulging that they're Republican, doesn't change that they're Republican.
Absolutely.
I think that we should be having more conversations.
We need to have more open conversations.
Absolutely, without shaming and counseling. But the overtly racist posts that she made are just the theater that followed her being outed with these posts, though, is what to me is just so, it's just crazy to me. Because if she had just owned it and said, look, these are my political views and this was inappropriate and I shouldn't have said that and I can see how this is wrong and I own that. As opposed to trotting out her black friend, which is a trope that we all understand is racist in origin in the first place.
Absolutely.
And then blaming it on her social media manager, which Jen Shaw did, and nobody gave her quarter for that. Nobody allowed her to be able to say it was her social media manager that came after Brooke Smarks. She's that. And then the hacking, like, it was just so ridiculous. If she would have just owned it, I would have had so much more respect for her as a person.
Yeah.
Who was honest.
Yeah. And when you and I were talking about it earlier in the week, you even said she's already been fired. Like, you've already lost your job.
Doing this?
There's no, I mean, I guess you're trying to prove a point that you're not racist. Well, things that you say or post at least come off clearly another way. And again, it has nothing to do with your political posts. It's the other stuff that just is what it is. So I guess we won't be seeing Jenny Wynn.
Jenny Wynn is
and
bye.
Mary Cosby is not filming, and they're currently filming the new season, and she's not there.
Well, and nothing of value was lost.
I heard her church shut down.
No, but it didn't.
It didn't?
They just had that was a rumor on Reddit, and somebody said, I live by the church and it's boarded up, but it was not boarded up. It is still open. And in fact, there was a picture taken of, I want to say, Heather and maybe Meredith Marks outside of the church having just attended a service for the new season of SLC. Now, I don't know how that factors in if Mary's not going to be there.
They'll probably edit that out if I would think if Mary isn't going to be part of it, anything around her probably will get edited out.
Well, I mean, but this happened. The thing with Mary happened a while ago already. She didn't show up for the reunion, a month ago or whatever it is. So I don't know why they would be filming at her church, but who knows? But yeah, Mary's supposedly not coming back, and I think that's great. I think she is problematic as hell. And Jenny Nguyen, not Nguyen, Wynn. In Hawaii, we always said we said Nguyen as opposed to Wynn. But anyway, Jenny, I just had a vibe about her. I did not like her story, the sister wife story with Dewey, her husband, who they're Catholic.
Odd.
They're Catholic, and she's had a million miscarriages, and like she's had stillborns, and she just has a problem conceiving. I think they have 2 or 3 children already. He wants more children, and this Catholic man says, "Are you open to having a sister wife to Jenny and Wynn?" And I just felt like this has got to be contrived. And then her niece came out on social media and said these people are just fake as hell. I just have never really liked her. She seems like a puppet for Lisa Barlow. And so now she's gone. So, there you go. Bye. Yeah.
And I guess recently Meredith is, again, upset about all the things that people are saying about her. And Lisa Barlow was on a hot mic calling her and saying that she effed, half of New York, I think she said.
Half of New York.
Yeah, and she did say on Watch What Happens Live that she was frustrated. She, had it up to here, and she said what she said. But and then someone made a comment to Meredith on social media that she should just quit. And I guess her response was, I paraphrase, but maybe I should. And
maybe she should. Yeah. I'm sick of Meredith too, because she's one of these people who doesn't let us in, and she's always disengaging and walking away from conflicts and she's just, her affectation and the way that she talks. And I cannot with Meredith at all. So I much prefer Jen Shaw. I much prefer Whitney and Heather, Bad Weather. I much prefer Lisa Barlow to Meredith Marks, because Meredith just doesn't seem real to me.
Yeah.
And she seems like she's on Xanax. No offense. But she seems like she's on some sort of a something because of the way she behaves.
Maybe.
She was going crazy in last week's episode.
Yes.
Just
that to me almost felt manic. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to throw out a powerful word like that, but to someone that's not a medical professional, but to see the ranting and raving, and then you're suddenly okay to ranting and raving again later, I feel that's manic.
Well, I feel like that's a come down. So she's coming down off something, and she's got that's what it felt like to me. But tonight's episode is going to be very interesting because something happens, another blow up.
Yeah.
And Lisa Barlow has had enough of Meredith Marks. And I'm here for it.
And I think this is where the hot mic situation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the hot mic situation.
This fractures the friendship. Well, this is not discovered, of course, until the reunion.
Yes.
That's when it's discovered, and then I think it all falls apart between Lisa and Meredith. It's fake anyway.
Yeah.
They're not really. They're frenemies. So.
Yeah. And in our last Housewives Hot Topics, 2 former housewives join the new season of Celebrity Big Brother. Do you know who they are, Crystal?
I know one is Teddy Mellencamp.
Do you want to know who the other is?
Who is transforming into a Kardashian before our eyes.
She is. She doesn't look half bad, but...
No, she looks great. She looks beautiful, but I'm just like, oh, God. No, who's the other one again?
Are you sitting down? Of course you're sitting down. I can see you.
I'm sitting down what?
Cynthia Bailey.
Oh, God, that's right. I mean, I'm sure both of these ladies seem so lovely, but I mean, yawn.
Yeah.
Yawn.
I did hear a unsubstantiated rumor that they were trying to get Erika Jayne. However, she can't be sequestered that long without, the lawyers having access to her. So being cut off that long, I don't think she can be, because I think it's like,
30
3
days
weeks
or something
like that. Yeah, that they're completely cut off from everyone, and I don't think she's allowed to do that right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
so
I
she
didn't know that.
make that. But yeah, so we have Sophia Bailey. So
Oh, God.
I feel like maybe she could be the first one to go.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or she could be Secret Squirrel and end up winning the whole thing. But I don't think that's going to happen.
And Teddy Mellencamp. I just feel like there's no dynamism. There's no energy. I'm not getting the energy. And I was looking at the whole cast, most of which I've already forgotten who they are, except for Shanna Moakler, who is the former wife of Travis, who's now with Courtney.
Yes.
But
so do you want to know who they are?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Lamar Odom.
Oh God. Okay.
Mirari Nagasu. She's the ice skater.
Right.
Shanna Moakler, which you just said.
Right.
Carson Kressley.
Oh, I love him. Okay,
yeah.
good.
And of course, we said Teddy Mellencamp, Cynthia Bailey, Todrick Hall.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Chris Kirkpatrick, he was from NSYNC. Todd Bridges, Willis from Different Strokes.
My God. Okay.
Chris Kattan from Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
And then the UFC fighter, Myesha Cupcake Tate.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting group.
I have to tell you that I am not interested in not one of these people.
Okay.
I don't
agreed.
find it to be a group that feels competitive to me. I mean, I understand, we have ball players, but it's such a odd group of misfits that they've thrown together. I feel like it was thrown together very quickly without a whole lot of thought, and I don't know how compelling I will find it. I'll probably tune in just to see how well our former Housewives do. Maybe it will be.
Maybe it'll be awesome. But I mean, it doesn't sound like the season with Candy and Tamar.
No, that was a great season.
Yeah, that was a great season. So it sounds like a bit of a dud, but maybe it'll be good.